I was throwing up on a Tuesday. I think it's 'cause I eat too much food. Hey, I was throwing up on a Tuesday.
Hi everyone. Why am I doing this? Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Slipknot album, Point 5, The Gray Chapter. Slipknot are Des Moines, Iowa metal band. Known for their numerous members, their kind of creepy masks, and for their massive popularity in the nu metal movement in the 2000s. In my first half of high school, I was a pretty big fan of this band. I caught them live at one point when I was younger. I thought that their self-titled album was like the most hardcore shit on the planet. And I bought Iowa when it first came out too, and I loved the hell out of that record as well. But very soon afterwards, I kind of fell out of favor with Slipknot, not only because it seemed like frontman Corey Taylor was sort of spending a little bit more time with Stone Sour, and I didn't really care for that band at the time. I really hated sort of those dreary, sad, alternative metal bands like Stained, and in my opinion, that's kind of the direction Stone Sour was going in, so it was just not vibing with that. It was not my style. I was young and angry! And then on their next record, Volume 3, I started to hear that sad, sappy stuff begin to leak into their sound and their style, so I was just... I used to really dig their stuff, and there are some groups from my teen years that I have gone back and I've re-listened to, some of which I've been able to enjoy more and appreciate, but some groups like Slipknot have really not aged that well with time, in my opinion. Because now when I listen to some of their older stuff, I hear just a lot of cringeworthy lyrics and lowbrow anger and very safe alt-metal production. And now that I listen to things more closely and I have a better grasp of instrumentation and production, it's just very clear how non-essential some of the band members here are to Slipknot's core sound, which is essentially guitars, drums, and vocals, like many other bands in their genre. But there are some things in Slipknot's music that I can look back upon fondly. For one, I think that their guitar tone is still pretty gnarly these days, and Corey Taylor is maybe one of the most ravenous, just madmen vocalists of nu metal. I think he's a good screamer, I think he's a good singer, and though I may not always enjoy his lyrics, there is a seriously real feeling of anguish and frustration that comes through in his performances. As a kid, I loved Slipknot for their extremity. Like I said, I thought their self-titled record was like the most hardcore shit ever. But then once I got into hardcore punk, and later into grindcore, and some thrash metal, and some death metal, and some black metal, more recently, and doom metal too. What made for extreme music was instantly reframed. I had heard harder, heavier, faster, and meaner music. Slipknot no longer scratches those itches for me, which essentially leaves them standing on the pretty flimsy leg of songwriting, which I think they used to have a really strong, prominent element of on their early stuff. Tracks like Wait and Bleed are still pretty decent tracks, and I think they did a really good job of melding pop hooks with their extreme aggression on Iowa even better, with songs like Heretic, If You Fight, then I'm sex, as well as People Equal Shit. Still today, I think that song kind of kicks ass. And I think Iowa does the best job of any record in Slipknot's discography when it comes to just putting the Slipknot mission statement out there. The fast riffs, the pummeling drums, the self-loathing lyrics, the nihilism, the hatred of humanity. But since Iowa, the band has kind of sweetened their sound. And now that they've done that, and I guess now that I've heard other things, they're not exactly as menacing as they used to be. There are some songs on this record like SCARCASTROPHE, a great title, that get the 15-year-old inside of me clenching his fists and getting into mosh stance. There are some familiar themes on this song of being sort of an outsider, being misunderstood, not taking the world's crap, killing everything that killed you. I was really impressed on this track by the passage of very warped tremolo guitars set against some very fast, speedy blast beats. It sounded really twisted, but on this song as well, and on a few other moments too, we get some turntable scratching set up against these nu metal riffs, and instantaneously. The album just sounds so tasteless and dated. There are other equally aggressive tracks, but very few of them are actually as catchy as Scarcastrophe or Approaching Original Violence, which I think is another decent track. No, when Slipknot go poppy and catchy, which I know they can do while staying aggressive the whole time, when they go poppy and catchy, they incorporate these sweet, clean-voiced, ultra-melodic hooks, which, in their defense, Wait and Bleed is one of those tracks, but that track does not quite step over the cleanliness line that a song like The Devil and I does. Which, considering that title, there's no reason for this hook to sound that wimpy. If I wanted this kind of vocal overacting, I would go listen to Disturbed. You know you're in a weird situation when you were thinking of reasons to listen to Disturbed. But maybe in a weird way, I would prefer to do that than listen to a song like Kill Pop, which it seems like Corey Taylor is diving into this like self-harming narrative revolving around this girl. In my opinion, Slipknot does not do sad well. They do not do sorrow well. I get them on that aggression level. There I feel like they really that very well. But when they go sad, it just sounds so melodramatic. It sounds so forced. It sounds so corny. And though they may be addressing some serious topics when they perform a sadder song, rarely does the depression actually translate through. So that completely rules out many a track on this record for likability. Then, as I said earlier, you have a lot of these aggressive tracks that, are no longer at that level of that I am now sort of adjusted to, I guess. And then compile that with all the lotiony, throw pillow, sweet tea choruses all over this record, and there's just not much here for me. And that's all I can really say. I'm feeling a light to decent 4 on this thing. Transition. If you've given this record a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Slipknot, forever.